Now we're talking about chipping. It's the second progression in our short game. Remember in putting we were talking about a one lever stroke, a very accurate stroke on the green? Well, in chipping we come back off the green and we go from about a foot off the green back to about 15 feet. The essence of chipping is a little air time and then a lot of ground time just to get it onto the green and roll it to the hole. We don't want a lot of power in this. And we're going to use the little running clubs. We're going to use the clubs like the 9-iron and the 8 and the 7 and the 6 and the 5-iron just to displace it onto the green and then run it to the hole. It's kind of like bowling. You know, when you bowl, and I'm going to use the soccer ball just to illustrate, let's just imagine this is a bowling ball and I've got my alley here. Now you don't see bowlers swinging their arm back and then throwing it halfway down the alley. What do? Well, they get that arm swinging and they always swing it in a pendulum. I've never seen a bowler come around. They swing it like this, and what do next? Well, you know, they find a spot. Most of them don't look at the pins and go, but they find a spot and then they lay it down and then they roll it to the pins. And that's what we want you to feel in the chip shot. We're going to teach you to set up to the ball, to feel that pendulum motion, and then to make that nice little chip stroke right to the back of the ball and just to get it onto the green and then roll it to the hole. And the beautiful thing I like about chip shots is you can use all kinds of clubs. I mean, it's exciting. You can chip to a little longer pin. Now I'm making the same stroke. I'm not swinging any harder. It's onto the green and it's to the cup. And then I can go down to about a 5-iron now. The same little stroke now. I can go for that longer hole. Watch that ball roll up there. See? And that's what chipping's all about. It's just getting that ball to the green, letting it roll up to the hole. And in chipping you need a lot of touch. And you develop that by practice. It's going to take time to develop a feel for distance. It's kind of like pitching pennies to a wall. You pitch one, it goes up to the wall a little short, then your next one, and you get a feel for that distance. And that's going to involve some time on your part to feel those distances, to roll them to the hole, to know just where to displace that ball onto the green, to roll it up to the cup. Now we don't want a lot of spin in this shot, so we're going to get up on top of the ball with more of our pendulum motion when we go to the chip shot. But the most important thing in the chip shot is to develop a stroke, a pendulum stroke, that makes a nice crisp contact with the back of that ball to get it onto the green and then roll it right up to the cup for a one putt. Now with the chip shot we really want to have a good pendulum motion, and we gain that by using our left arm and swinging it back and forth like this, and it just kind of paces and it controls where that ball goes by just simply pacing it. Now I want you to think about a train for a minute. I want to think about the left hand is the engine and the club head is the caboose. And as I pull that hand down on the chip shot, see, I want to always keep that engine out in front of the caboose. I don't want it jackknifing. So that's the feeling that you should have. And so this is a great little practice drill that you can do, is just to pull your left hand back and forth and feel the train and feel that engine pulling that caboose back and through to the cup and rolling it up there every time. Now the pin locations will dictate what club we use, because the clubs have different lofts, and as the lofts displace the ball into the green, they'll go different distances. So that's basically the chipping method. Now let's get into how we place our hands on the club to do this effectively time and time again. In chipping, as in putting, we need a one lever stroke. And to help us with that one lever stroke, you need to have the same grip as your putting grip. You want to use the gravity drill to immobilize that sixth finger. We don't want to have the sixth finger on top, which is going to cause that club to swing around our body. We're looking for that nice backwards and forwards one pendulum stroke. So use the gravity drill. Hold it out in front of you. Lighten your grip. Let the club head just kind of move it down, and then you can see when I do that, the 6th finger is on the side, not on the top, so that when my hands face each other, it immobilizes those wrists and I'm not able to swing that club head around so much and open and close it. Also in chipping, you want to choke down on the club. We're looking for touch. We're only moving the ball a little ways on the green and rolling it to the hole. You choke down, well, like if you're going to use a pencil and write your name, you're not going to use it on the end like this. You're going to choke down so that you can get feeling and touch. And that's the essence of the chipping grip, is to choke down, immobilize your 6th finger so that you can make that one lever stroke back and through and effectively just drop the ball in the green and roll it right up to the hole. Now I've shown you how to put your hands on the club. The essence, I said, of chipping that ball was to make a crisp contact with the back of the ball, to make that nice little crisp hit. Now, let's just say I've got a weed whip and I want to clip some grass, see? If I swing this way, I'm not going to get any of it. So I've got to play that weed whip back a little bit, see? And now I can actually clip the grass, see? Well, this is the feeling you want to have when you hit a little chip shot. So we've got to show you how to stand up to the ball so that you can get that motion. Looks like a chip shot, doesn't it? Okay, well, get your ruler out. And this is what you need to practice every time you go out. And remember, we always put the yellow one at the target. And in chipping, you want to be a little left of it because we're going to have our blade going a little bit to the right of the ruler. There we go, just like that. And then remember, this is always our ball position. We did it in the full shot and also in putting. So I've built my little station. And now I want to show you how to step into that. So you can follow along with me if you'd like. Now, with that weed whip, remember we were making that motion kind of backwards. So we want to step into it and put our face down. There we go, right there. And when you step into your chip shot, you want to have the ball back in your stance, about 2 or 3 inches back behind the center. And I like to think about putting my chip shots and playing them a little bit inside my right foot when I'm out on the course, because you can't use this on the golf course. And then I want to take a little bit of an open stance. Now, why do I do that? That helps me to swing the club back on a straight line. You know, a bowler, he doesn't bowl this way. He opens up and he's going for accuracy. His stance is open. And so in this shot, you want to have that ball back in your stance. Also, we're talking about a pendulum stroke, that one lever stroke, see? And I don't want that at the bottom of the arc. I want it back a little bit farther, see? So I can catch it before the bottom of the arc. Way back, behind it. So this is the position you want to be in, with the ball back off the right instep, and then we want to lean to the left. Now, when I lean over this way and I get my weight on this leg, what does that do to the arc? It tilts a little more, and then it allows the club to swing up and make a little bit more of a descending blow to the ball to kind of clip the ball, just like with the weed whip. So we want that weight to the left, and when you're on the course, you may want to think of being a leaning Tower of Pisa. You want to kind of lean over and see, get that weight. See how the weight's over here? Now when you hit a chip shot, you don't want any weight shift. So you don't want that weight swinging all around. You want to keep leaning over this way and feel the weight on the left leg. Now that's why we've got the sponge. The sponge you're going to use to help you to feel the weight on the left leg in all your chip shots. So let's take our stance. Ball position is back. Stance is open. When I find this right foot position, I'm going to put the sponge down a little bit to the right of that, so that when I step down, it's going to force my weight in, this knee, onto this leg. Just like with the full shot, remember we were coiling? Well, in this shot, we want the weight to be all onto our left leg. Now I'm in a position to make that little clip of the ball up to the hole. Now watch this. Did you hear how crisp that was? Now, another way that will help you to see the direction that face is going is by using your little stickers. If you want to take yours out and put it on the club face of a chipping iron. I have a 9-iron here, and you always want to put it this way so that the arrow is going right down towards the leading edge, just like that. You see that? And then as I make my little stroke now, I'll be able to see where that arrow's pointing, see? And I don't want that swinging around. That's why I've set you up in this position so that you can make a crisp little stroke and keep that blade right on line. When you set up, keep your shoulders back too. Stay in a proud position. Don't bend way over, because the more you bend over, it's going to take the club around. You can see the arrow's going to open up rather than staying straight. The more I step up and I get up tall, in fact, I like to teach the closer in you can get to a chip, the better, because then you're developing a pure pendulum stroke. If you could hit chip shops in this close, and a lot of pros chip this way, you watch them on TV every Sunday, you would have a pure pendulum stroke. So I hope that this shows you how to set up, where to position the ball, how to have that open little stance, where the weight should go. And then when you go out on the golf course, you're going to feel like that sponge is under your foot, forcing you over there. You don't want to have to think about that when you go out and play. So now I want to get into the exciting part. I'm going to show you how to work this upper body to work that one lever system, and we're going to do that by the use of your coat hanger. Got our hands on the club with our 6th finger on the side so that the wrists aren't going to break or go around our body. I've shown you how to set into the ball to get the right position so that the club head can swing down and make that crisp hit. Now, here's how we move and get a feeling for that one lever system that we're trying to develop. Take your coat hanger and put it down on the club just like we did for the full shot. And you may want to slide it down a little bit farther on the grip because we're choking down, remember, on the club. There we go. And then put it down towards your ball. Go through the steps we showed, ball position, open the stance, lean to the left, and you'll feel the hanger will catch you on the top of your arm right here. See, what that does is that keeps this pendulum moving together. And as you make your stroke, you don't want to have it come off your arm. Because what's going to happen, the most common problem in chipping is what? You try to scoop it. See, and it breaks the angle. Remember, we're working as a pendulum. This is the stroke, the left arm stroke. In fact, the greatest drill that you can work with, to chip with, is just chip balls just with your left arm. But I've given you a way to feel it, to get the feedback so you know you're doing it wrong if you do it. If I try to scoop it, I'm going to do that. But keeping it nice and against the arm with my correct position, now I can just take that back and through. I mean, that is so straight, it's unbelievable. It'll put it right down the line. My weight's to the left, the ball's back. I got the arrow right at the ball, and then I simply move this arm back. Think of that grandfather clock, back and through, and watch. Is that straight enough? Now, what this is going to do for you, when you practice with it, it's going to merge the club to your arm, and it's going to feel like a unit. So when you go out on the golf course, when you set into that chip shot, you're going to feel that arm and that club in one piece. You're going to set into that sponge. You're going to feel that sponge behind your foot, and you're going to lean over there, and you're going to know exactly what you're doing, back and through. And the ball's going to go up there for a one putt every time. How do you know what club to use when you're chipping? Well, the pin really dictates what club you use from your position. Now, we've got pins here that are 15 feet and 25 feet and 35 feet. So we need different clubs to get the ball onto the green in our little designated place to roll it to the cup. And you learn that feeling by doing it over and over again. Remember, I talked about the analogy of throwing the pennies to the wall? You've got to practice to get that feeling. Well, Phil, come on up and take your 8-iron over there. And we know that's the club for this hole. So get the right posture and stance and position. Boy, that looks great. Look at that weight to the left. One lever, chip it up there. Excellent. Now if we're going to go to this pin up here, what are you going to use for that hole?
Club with a little less loft.
Now why?
So that the ball will get on the ground sooner, but roll further up to the hole.
And the less lofted club doesn't get the ball up as high, and you can still get it into the same landing area to run it to the cup. So grab a 6-iron. And this is your position you're landing it, and roll it up there. Beautiful shot. Now what if you're going for 35 feet?
Maybe even a little less loft.
Probably go with a 5. And when you go out and practice, do this. Start in one position, select different clubs, go on the chipping green and pick positions, and then practice. Lean to the left. Excellent shot. Nice and crisp. Let me tell you how to build your little landing pad. That's the objective in chipping, is to get the ball onto the green to get maximum ground time and minimum air time. So I'm going to put this hoop down, and this is where you should be playing that ball approximately this far on the green with every shot. So Phil, I want you to, let's see, let's adjust this so it's right in there where you can drop it onto the green. That looks pretty straight, doesn't it?
Okay, do I need a more lofted club now to get it up to the ball?
Yeah, you don't want to use that 5-iron, because if you use the 5-iron, you may hit it in the hoop, but it's going to run clear up into the fringe.
How about an 8-iron now?
Let's take the 8-iron. That's the one I used, and I'm going to put this right like that. Now I want you to chip it into the hula hoop. Let me get over here so I can get a good look at it. All right. And roll it to the hole. Boy, it doesn't get much better than that.
I like
now,
that.
When you go out and practice, you may want to use a hula hoop. It's just a fun little game, you know. You can put it down, and my kids love to try this, to pop it in the hoop and out. So if you don't have one, you may want to build you a little pad like this out of tees, so you can have a good visual picture of where to land the ball. Now when you practice, you can just chip it in on the little pad there, the little square pad, with the 8-iron, and then roll it right to the cup. Make your practice profitable. Try different clubs. Try the 8-iron here, try the 5-iron out to a 35-footer, build a little landing pad like this, and your game is really going to improve. I want to cover some of the most common errors in chipping. The first one is standing too far away from the ball. The farther away you get from the ball, the more the club's going to want to run around in a circle rather than making that pendulum stroke. And I see this all the time. People chip from a position that they hit a normal shot. So get in close to it. And then remember to keep your stance narrow. I see stances that are way too wide. You want to keep it narrow and get your shoulders up so you can make a pendulum stroke. The wider you get, the more it wants to go around too in a circle. And then people chip with their hands way up on the end of the club like this, and they try to control the nice crisp contact with the back of the ball. And it's real hard to control it the farther you get your hands up on the shaft. So remember the pencil analogy, keep your hands down for touch and feel, because you're not going a long distance and you need that feeling for that little chip shot. And then a big backswing. With the chip, remember, you need a nice little easy chip motion with the club head on the ball. We don't need a big long swing because it has a tendency to want to decelerate the club head as it comes down. Also, I see people stand up with a square stance to the hole, and with that stance you have a tendency to want to swing around your body, and you don't get that pendulum motion with the club head back and through on a straight line. Also crouching over. This, from a position like this, you have a tendency to want to lift the club up or bring it inside too much, so keep your shoulders back, establish that back angle, lean to the left, and make that nice crisp shot right up to the cup time after time. Now the best way to help you get out of these errors is to work time after time with the training aids, go over the principles that we've taught you on this section, and your game is going to improve in a great way. Training aids can greatly enhance the feeling of the correct movements in chipping. If you have a problem with your left wrist breaking as you come through the ball and going under like this, just take your ruler and stick it up behind your watch like this, slide it through, and that will keep that wrist from breaking and hinging. Then when you come up to the ball, line it up with your arm, take a few practice swings, and you can see now that I can really pace that arm back and forth without the wrist breaking at all. Then get into your correct stance and posture and chip it up to the cup. Look at how nice and firm that left wrist stayed. Because the chipping stroke is so similar to the putting stroke, you may even want to put the hanger over your arms like you were doing in putting, and then practice your chipping with it like that. It will help you feel that upper body radius that we talked about in putting. The upper arms and the shoulders pace the stroke back in putting and also in chipping. Look at how nice that's staying together in a pendulum motion. Proper stance and through. Be creative with your practice. Build a little landing pad and then use 2x4s to show the direction for your chipping stroke. See, you can go right along that line, and as you get in there, the boards also keep you from swinging around in a circle and getting off track. So, that way, chip it right onto that little landing pad and up to this pin. Excellent. Here's just another way to use your sponge. Slip it between your forearms, Phil. That's it. Take a little practice swing. And this really helps you to pace your arms back and through. It keeps you connected on that chip shot. And then move in there and chip it right up to the cup. Worked pretty good. Sometimes you have a ball that rolls down off the edge of a green. It comes right up against the fringe of the green. Now you can't get your club to the back of that ball to make a nice chip shot. So what do? Well, you use your sand wedge that has a heavy bottom to it. And so as that sand wedge comes into the ball, it can get through that grass to the back of the ball. You just kind of chip putt it up there. Take your normal chipping stance, and on this shot I'm going to go for the equator of the ball, and the club head will go through the grass, and I want to just kind of putt it up there. Just like that, up by the hole.